with former Ward 2 Councillor Dan Raymondi.
Thank you, Mark. Can you all hear me? Thank you. Thank you all for coming. This is terrific. You know, I've been doing this for quite a while. It's my first candidates night outside, especially at a beach. So, congratulations, Mark. Merrymount Association, my fellow candidates, their supporters, friends all. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. By way of background, I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Quincy. The education and training that I got right here in my home city enabled me to graduate from Holy Cross College and Boston College Law School. I owe a lot to the Quincy Public Schools, and much of my public career, and even as a private attorney, has been as a strong advocate for our schools. Back in the 1980s, those of us who were around during that period of time, we had something that was called Proposition 2.5. It's still here. And that had a devastating impact on most schools across the Commonwealth, but in particular, the Quincy Public Schools. I ran for office in the early 1990s to restore confidence in our system, to rebuild our school system. Funds had been cut for maintenance, funds had been cut for repairs. We were closing school buildings, and I thought that we needed to reverse that trend. In that 4-year period, the last two being elected vice chair by my colleagues, we did turn things around, working with neighborhood groups like the Merrymount Association, working with parent groups, my colleagues in government, Mayor Sheets at the time, and the superintendent of schools, Eugene Creedon. We began the process of changing the culture from closing and lack of funding to opening schools, renovating schools, and continuing funding. We opened up the Bernazani. We built the Marshall School. We built the Early Childhood Center. We opened up Beechwood. We rebuilt the Quincy Point Middle School. And that trend continues today. So even though I'm no longer on the committee, but as a city councilor, I watched as now we have the new Quincy High School, the new Central, and we're working on Sterling. So that's the kind of aggressive, heartfelt leadership that I bring to this race. Recognizing a problem, not being afraid to stand up and getting things done. As a candidate in this race, I'm not going to speak for my other colleagues, but we all probably can agree that there are 4 major departments in the city that we feel are the top priorities. You may have different priorities, but pretty much most of us tonight would say these are the top 4. Schools, police, fire, and of course, DPW. As a resident and as a city councilor, I had other issues that I was very concerned about because of the quality of life enhancement that these issues have. 1, beaches. 2, seawalls. Tree plantings. Wetland maintenance and restoration. Things that don't ordinarily get attention during a budget cycle and clearly don't get attention when there's an economic downturn. And I wanted to find a funding source that would enable us to continue to grow and be enhanced and make these improvements that are so vital. All of you folks are here because of the wonderful 27 miles of beachfront that we have within the city of Quincy. And that was my goal, that we'd no longer have to sit as a city council and a mayor and debate whether we would have funding to do these kinds of things that may not be priorities within certain public officials. So I wrote Quincy's hotel motel legislation. I've got copies there to show you. We moved it through the city council, passed the legislature, passed the Senate, signed by the governor. Now, how many folks think that landmark legislation brought $1 million into the city coffers? How many think 5 million? How many think 10 million? Well, the number is $15 million. Now that's money that you're not paying. It's paid by visitors to our city. That's the kind of leadership that I bring to this race. Recognizing a problem, not asking you as taxpayers having difficult times making ends meet, kids going off to school, high cost of health care, and all the rest. I found an independent funding source, and it wasn't easy. There was tremendous opposition to that. In addition to those effective means of repairs, and we've done a lot over the past couple of years with that funding source, 15% is earmarked to tourism. So not only do we take care of our beaches and our ecological assets, tree plantings and things like that, improvement to our parks, playgrounds, we enhance the economic vitality of downtown by creating a fund for tourism. And how many city councils back in 1990, 2000, 2005 would have voted a lot of money for tourism when we've got schools, public safety, police, fire, all right? So that's the kind of leadership that I bring to this race. We all know that there are seniors within our community that need our help. Many are house rich and cash poor. My advocacy for these folks didn't stop by just talking about it. I wrote Quincy's Senior Workers Abatement Program. That has two benefits. It takes a senior, mature worker who's retired, and having invested all that time in a particular career, whether it's clerical, management, accounting, and the city gets that service. So it's good for the senior. It gets them back into the workforce. They learn about the city, and we get that asset. We get that talent, and we enable them to work off a portion of their real estate tax bill. I wrote that law, and it is now, and hundreds of seniors have been benefited from that. We need to do more. We need to do much more. There's also a tax credit that's available in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I was one of the first elected officials in Quincy to advocate for seniors to do that. And many seniors have taken advantage of that. It's a tax credit, irrespective as to whether you pay income taxes or not. It's a nice little benefit. If your real estate taxes and rental are a certain proportion of your income, the Commonwealth may very well give you a check. So this is the activism that I bring to this race. For the last 6 years, I've been your Commissioner of Public Works. So my career has been as a private attorney. It's been a combination of a private attorney and public service. I've been on the Park Recreation Board. I've been on the school committee 2 different times. I've been elected vice chair of the school committee. I've been a ward council for 22 years, so I know all the issues that your next ward council will go through, and I'm more than willing to assist that person to help him navigate the many, many issues. I've been a county treasurer for a term, and now I'm running for this valuable position. And the last 6 years, I've been your Commissioner of Public Works. And there's only so much that I can do as a commissioner, and I wanted to get back into the policy. We need to spend more money on our roads. The key is perhaps not on the backs of the taxpayers of Quincy, but we need to spend more money. We need to get that level of appropriation up to $3 to $5 million. We have too many 100-year-old water mains that need to be replaced. And when you replace a water main, you need to fix the road. So I'm an infrastructure guy. When things are moving normally, nobody sees the ill effects if you don't get water or if there's a sewage problem within a particular area. And I just want to leave you with the last thought. I've also been a prosecutor in Norfolk County and a public defender in Norfolk County. That's why someone said that I look remarkably well for someone who's 140 years old. But I've really done all these things, you know. As a prosecutor, I know firsthand the impacts that crime has on individuals, on families, and in particular on neighborhoods, communities, and this city. And that's why I wrote, again, very controversial. Some folks didn't like it at the time. Now it's one of the most heralded, successful programs in the city. We call it community policing. Typically, your police department reacts to crime. Somebody makes a call, they come down, and they respond to a particular call. And our police department is among the best. And there's also a proactive component to some of that. But I introduced, and I wrote an ordinance that brought community policing formally to the city of Quincy. And what that is all about is that with all the data that the police collect, they would identify those areas that are pockets that generate crime. It could be a beach. It could be a neighborhood. It could be a store. It could be a house. And with all the talent of the police department and all the resources, the community police officers working with neighborhoods, with schools, with parents, would move resources into a particular area to eradicate those conditions that are generating crime. Every family in Quincy should be safe in their home. So I'm a proponent to increased police protection, in particular within our neighborhoods and within the downtown. So I'm someone who cares passionately about the issues that I care about. Obviously, I care about our schools. I owe a debt of gratitude to the Quincy Public Schools. I wouldn't have had the life and career that I've had without the teachers and professionals that I had throughout the city, and in particular Quincy High School back then.
Dan, can I cut in?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we're just going to want to have time for one question for you here,
Oh,
okay?
sure, I'm sorry.
No problem. We ask you, this was something that was submitted, what is your position and plan towards the Four River compressor station that's been in the news much
Thank
lately?
you. I'm against the station. I'm appreciative that Weymouth has organized and that Quincy has taken the lead on it, that Mayor Koch has provided resources with that. Some of the reports that have come out about the ill effects and the quality of air, not only in the Weymouth area, but also within the city of Quincy, I think it's troubling. I think it's good that Governor Baker has slowed down the process a bit to allow these communities to gather additional resources to fight this station. Not only would it have an ill effect upon both communities outside the economic area, but I think economically, value of homes and all that, I think it would have a devastating impact. So I support the action by Weymouth and Quincy teaming together to fight the station.
Okay, that's Dan's 12 minutes, so can we hear a round of applause for him, please?
Seemed like two. Sorry.
But Dan, if you want to stick around and talk to more people, please do. Thank you. So.